What's up, everybody? We're back with this week's video, and we're going to be diving into my top 10 favorite Clone Wars figures from the amazing Star Wars animated series. I just wanted to thank you guys again for just absolutely killing it with the support on the last video. That was awesome. I really enjoyed all the reach. Everybody commenting on it was awesome. The engagement was so fun to see everybody's opinions and stuff. Thank you. It was so fun. I really enjoy the style of the community posts I'm doing where we all just kind of vote. I throw something in and we just chit and chat. It's great. So I'll keep on doing that, and I'm sure there'll be more ideas down the road. But for now, I love talking with everybody. That was the whole point. I wanted to make this space where we can all talk and enjoy. So stay tuned till the end to see what my number one is. But without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, everybody. Kicking off the list of my top 10 favorite Star Wars The Clone Wars figures. As I previously stated, not in any specific order other than the number one spot, which is my favorite in my whole collection. So definitely stick around to see what that figure is and why. To kick things off, we start with Savage Opress, a really cool character in the show. Darth Maul's brother, spoiler alert, but he had a really cool arc throughout the series, an absolute beast of a character, a brute, if you will. And this figure at the time when it came out was so cool. It's very detailed. Its size is bigger compared to the other figures, so it's really screen accurate. All around, such a detailed figure, and it was single packed in the Shadows of the Republic line, and it was in that triple pack with Darth Maul and Mother Talzin, and it was single packed again, I believe, when he was unarmored as well. So we had like 3 different releases of Savage, so it was pretty readily available to get him at the time. But yeah, let's just enjoy this figure for what it is. Really cool all around. Alrighty, time for the next one. This is the Jungle Camo ARF Trooper. We saw this iteration of the ARF Trooper in the Clone Wars movie back in 2008. It was such a cool design. I really remember always admiring the camo deco because it was very military inspired, and I always really gravitated towards that as a kid, seeing it on screen. And I think that's the only time we saw this version of him on screen. We've seen many different ARF Trooper types, but this one in particular was just so cool. Really blended in with its surroundings, and an all-around cool figure. And this is one of my first ARF Troopers. I'm pretty sure that was the first one I owned, was this one. So they hold up great. They don't have the yellowing problem, and the paint apps are really crisp. So yeah, the Jungle ARF Trooper. Now going into one of my personal favorites, Embo. This character in the show was always so cool and ominous, and I feel like you never really knew what side he was on other than just being a classic bounty hunter in Star Wars. I feel like, sometimes he was on the side of good, and then he was doing things on the side of evil just to get that paycheck. Getting onto the figure portion, this figure was, I just remember growing up, it had so much accessories. You have these cool throwing knives in the back, and he has his fold out crossbow blaster, so he's able to go hand-to-hand combat and do his blasting, and he can throw that helmet. I feel like was pretty readily available. I remember getting him in stores, and he even has the soft goods cape here, the Kama. Very cool, mixed in with some hard plastics. The articulation is pretty good as well on this figure. Trying to be as diverse as possible with this list, but when it comes to bounty hunters, he was always my favorite. I know Boba Fett's really cool too, but they only made him in his younger form, so the hat goes off to Embo. So I feel like some people might be surprised by this, or maybe not, but I know it can seem like more of a mid choice, but I'm just a real sucker for troopers. And I was immediately gravitating towards these Phase 2 clone troopers when they came out. And I just feel like you can army build them so well, and they go with any unit, and there's just so much versatility with them, and you could customize them, and that's what they did. Obviously, they didn't make many repaints, as shown in my previous videos, so this was like a blank canvas for a bunch of collectors, kids, just to make clone troopers in their vision or try and do their best to make their own iterations of their favorite clone legions. All around, I think it's an awesome figure. Highly recommend picking it up. I know I stated in my last video it's a little bit pricey, but it is Christmas, so treat yourself or treat somebody you love and get on a Phase 2 clone trooper. Next up is this really cool repaint of the standard battle droid. Don't worry, droid lovers, I got you covered. I am also a pretty big droid fan when it comes to the Clankers. I think they are really cool and just a funny comic relief in the show. But they also have some pretty cool repaints, and I'm always drawn to the color blue. And I feel like when I saw this, I had to pick this up. This figure is only sold in the Scout tank like mini rig line that they do, so it's not immensely rare, but it's a little bit more harder to find on the secondary market, and you kind of have to just buy the listing that's available. These droids are usually seen on capital ships or some sort of security in their naval fleet. I believe that's what they are. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Nothing different on the figure. It's the same standard battle droid, limited articulation and whatnot. Nothing too crazy, but the paint apps are cool. And don't worry, I couldn't make this list without putting a droid on there. Next up is a bit of an odd one, but I always loved this deco in the show. This is the Senate Security Clone Trooper, like the standard version. This is not Jekker Reese that you see in the Ambush episode in Season 1. This is just a standard repaint of that, and you don't even see a standard trooper in this armor at all in the show. They just made it for a con exclusive, and I remember seeing this and I thought it was a really cool repaint of the clones. I always wanted to army build it, but at the time, growing up when it came out, it was a really, really limited release. So I only ever found one on like Amazon, back when you could actually get Clone Wars figures on Amazon. I know, it's pretty crazy. But I love the Coruscant logo. Like I did say about in my other video with the riot control, this is just one of many forms of the Coruscant Guard, also known as shock troopers. And second thought, I always forget they put like a battle weathering wash on them. They used to do this to some of the standard troopers. So I think I also really like the battle damage appearance of this figure because they didn't make every character battle damage. So that's just another fun fact. Next up, yes, no surprise at all, I am absolutely putting an ARC Trooper on this list. Last video I put Commander Colt. This time I'm putting Commander Blitz just because this is my favorite figure list of my own collection. So this is one I received way back in the day in the actual Defend Camino Battle Pack, back when you could literally find it in stores. Awesome. So I always loved this figure. It's so cool. I was always drawn to the yellow. The design on this figure is so cool, and it's just a great figure. These ARC Troopers are awesome. Can't get enough of them. It's just really a shame that they're so expensive. All right, shortly approaching the end of my list, but I had to put one of my own customs on it. This is one I was very proud of, and I made this a very long time ago. It is featured in another video on the channel, going more in depth about it, but this is Clone Trooper Kix, notably seen in Umbara using this armor, but he was also seen on the Cut Lawquane episode with Jesse and Hardcase. Very cool, unique armor design. All around, such a cool character in the show, going on to Season 7 and then disappearing. I know there's a little bit of backstory with him, how he gets frozen and lost in time, basically, and then wakes up 50 years later after the Galactic Civil War is over, thinking he's still in the Clone Wars. So it's a really cool story with Kix, but I loved the Umbara arc, as do most people that enjoy the show. It was a really good in-depth dive for all of these clones and their personality traits. This was definitely one that I was more proud of out of my other customs. I feel like I took the most time on it, and in my opinion, it was pretty good for what I did at the time, because I did make it when I was a kid. So this is one of my original 5 customs I've ever made. And this is just a standard Cody head on his body, because all those Cody heads do fit on these Phase 2 ball joints perfectly. So I basically gave him his removable helmet, if you will, because he does don his standard crew cut in Season 7. So I felt like it fit perfectly. All right, and the second to last figure on this list goes to none other than the Special Operations Clone Trooper, or Spec Ops. This character mold and design was seen on the second Battle of Geonosis under Commander Jet and Ki-Adi-Mundi. Very, very cool figure. It's a kit bash between the original release of the figures, and then it's like a mixture between the stone arms mold and the new tooled and sculpted Special Operations helmet. It's very cool. It's unique. It shares the same look as the Stealth Operations Clone Trooper in that fun episode with Anakin blowing up the Spider Guy's ship. That was really cool. But this figure is a little bit more different, and Hasbro definitely killed it with the design on this. They went all out and made it a better figure, and they didn't make this piece a separate thing either. This isn't glued in or anything. It's just part of the helmet. I know the Stealth Operations figures really were annoying because a lot of people would lose the gear on the helmet because it would just fall off. But this one is all embedded. It's a perfect match for the figures. I love the camo on the figure itself. It's cool, like desert digital camo in a way. It's very cool. The paint apps are perfect. And yeah, I always really love this character design. All right, everybody. And my number 1 spot, purely just because this was my first Clone Wars figure ever and is my favorite character in Star Wars, other than Anakin, this is Captain Rex. Phase 1 armor, the original release of this figure in the cool clone helmet line. It is so cool. It's got the dirty wash on it as well, so he's really battle damaged. Classic removable helmet with that not so accurate head sculpt, but you know how the early Clone Wars figures are. But oh my gosh, this was just such a great figure at the time. I remember getting it before the movie came out when they were doing the promotional line for it, and I just thought it was some random figure, and I didn't even like it. But like many other kids, I went to go see the Clone Wars movie and immediately fell in love with all the characters, and notably Captain Rex. There it is, my number 1 favorite figure in my whole collection. All right, everybody, that's it for this week's video. I hope you all enjoyed. I had a lot of fun making it, and I really hope that you may have seen something that you liked or you didn't like. Be sure to tell me in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Keep on engaging. I really thoroughly enjoy talking to each and every one of you. So huge shout out to you guys. You rock. This is what the community is all about. This is what the space is for. So just everyone stay grinding, stay real, and peace out.